morning, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, it's warming up, my friend. It's in the 20s.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's going to be warmer this weekend. I'm actually going to
60s. They're calling for 60s on the weekend.
Actually going to get the boat out and go fishing.
Where are you going?
Dirty Bird.
Okay. Have fun. Enjoy.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can't employ some of the
25
techniques
mile an hour winds. Have fun with that one.
Brad Hallman used in the one-on-one live that we did out there, and see if I can't put a couple in the boat.
All right. Make sure it's running right, man. We got a lot of stuff going on in February. You want to make sure it's dialed in.
That thing is dialed in.
All right. All right, I trust you.
So we'll have it out there on the water.
All right, good stuff. Good show today. We're going to have John Cruz on, and we've got a couple of special things. We got a little video we're going to roll out before we get to John. And we're going to talk to John a lot about the business side of it. He's knee-deep, both sides, business side and fishing side.
He's got the Classic to get ready for. I'm sure Missile Baits is going to have a presence at the Classic Expo.
Yeah.
And then he's got the Elite Series coming up in, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Less than 3 weeks, and getting all of his stuff ready for that.
Yeah.
So I would say he's one of the probably most entrenched guys in every aspect of professional bass
He's
fishing.
had some adversity too. I mean, we're gonna get into that. Hopefully, sponsors not coming back with him, guys and companies deciding on leaving the fishing business and not being involved from a sponsorship standpoint. What, you look perplexed?
Well, I was thinking, and this just kind of hit me. Who else in professional bass fishing owns and runs a company like John does with Missile Baits, and also competes to a company that size? Now I know there's guys. Rick Morris has our
Polinick.
Yeah, our
it's not a tackle company, but it's a business.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like a tackle company like that. I mean, because Missile Baits is pretty big now.
Yeah,
it's big. I mean, you can go in any store and pick up Missile Baits. So is there anyone else who?
I don't know. Could be. I got the list right here.
I was going through it over the top of my head and
scrounge through the list.
There's a lot of guys with product lines and things like that, but as far as running the day-to-day, everyday operations of it,
probably not. Dude, he's got good people in place. Do you think he's watching every single move? Well, ask him about that. I mean, when you're doing that much stuff and you own a business like that, you have to trust people. You have to empower people.
Well, obviously, Duckett.
You have to make sure.
Duckett's the obvious one, but other than Duckett,
I don't know. I'll look at the list and see. I will look at the list and see.
Right.
Now, the other thing, too, is I had a very, very interesting day yesterday.
I know. I saw a picture of that. I guess the congratulations are in order.
Not yet.
Well, you've got a kid who's a senior in high school who's getting offers to play football
of all things.
Scholarship offers to play football.
It's crazy, man. Crazy. The kid has played basketball coming out of the womb, and he decides his senior year that he wants to play football, and he goes out and he sets 4 school records. He's the district wide receiver of the year. I mean, you've seen him. He's 6'3", 205.
Yeah, I mean, it's like being a walleye pro, and then all of a sudden deciding you want to fish bass and then making the Elite Series the next
crazy.
year.
So I've been through the recruiting process from a basketball standpoint, very familiar with that, but had not been through the recruiting process from a football standpoint. And it's very, very interesting. And John actually has some involvement in this recruiting process because Noah is actually a player for James Madison. We're going to talk about that. I remember him talking about when he was a senior in high school and the whole recruiting process a little bit. So we'll ask him about that. But as always, yesterday when I was sitting in they call it the field house, where the weight room is and the locker room is at this university, I thought, man, I was thinking about a lot of stuff. This just was glancing by because I always somewhat reflect back to the fishing side of it when there's something there that I can reflect back to. How close are we? 1,000,000 years away from some dude from some university actually showing up at a weigh-in and going, kid, I like what you got. I'd like for you to make a visit.
No, I think that already happens. That has happened. I think
Bethel? Was Bethel the only one?
Dallas Baptist. I think McKendree. There's a number of schools that have coaches that are actually actively out recruiting and seeking members for their fishing team.
And that's a challenge. Why? Because I don't know how they're coming up with the scholarship money or the money that they're able to pay these kids from a tuition reimbursement. The obvious one is grades, right? Because every institution
academic scholarship
will give you X amount of. I mean, AJ had, I think it was like $15,000 just right off the top
because he was smart.
Because of his GPA and ACT scores. Are these things that are being stressed? I don't know. I'm really intrigued by this whole fishing side of it from a collegiate standpoint. Are we at the point where you're going to have, because how many universities or colleges?
Over 300.
And how many give scholarships and are actively recruiting probably?
I would say a half dozen.
6 of them?
Yeah.
That's not that many, dude. I mean, I know
that's better than zero.
It's better than zero, but are we ever going to get to the point to where you really have these guys showing up at high school events and even team events and BFLs and going, dude, here's a letter, a letter of intent. Here you go, right there. This is what we can offer.
I mean, I've seen it. Guys have signed letters of intent to go fish places.
Where?
At those bigger schools, for fishing wise.
What is Bethel? Is Bethel a D3 school?
I have no idea.
Or NAIA? Maybe somebody knows on the instant feedback.
Because it doesn't distinguish in fishing.
Because it's not an NCAA.
Yeah. If you're Oklahoma, you're competing against XYZ Community College.
Yeah. I don't know. We got into the topic many shows ago about how the whole collegiate program really truly needs to be structured from a governing body standpoint.
One governing body.
Yeah. Not the NCAA. This is not something
it's basically
for the NCAA
run
to get
like the professional trails. As far as you got your FLW, you got your Bass, and then you have Wade Middleton's that kind of brings everyone together. So.
Yeah, there's no reason for the NCAA to get involved. The other thing that I learned,
because that's.
I mean, the other thing
that be a bass fishing.
Yeah, the other thing that I learned yesterday was, and I don't know how long this has been in effect, because when I was involved in basketball recruiting, I never really had a kid that was a D3 kid. He was either a D2 kid. Very few D1s. Most of them were NAIA kids. And D3, you are not allowed to get any athletic compensation based upon your athletic ability. So in other words, there are no athletic scholarships in NCAA Division III. Had no idea. So most of your athletes that are playing at the Division III level are truly academic scholarships, not athletic, or they just love the game so much that they want to experience that in college. So it was neat. It was very interesting. Even though it's a small Division II, NCAA Division II school, dude, they go all out. I mean, it was very
picture looked impressive.
It was very impressive, the tour and how the head coach sat down with me and AJ and really stressed the importance of academics and, what their mission was. And it was really cool. They made him feel like he was already a part of the program.
And he didn't say what school it was or anything, but does a coach at that level make a good living just coaching ball?
He's okay.
I mean, that's the only thing he does.
That's it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I would say he probably makes between 65 and 90,000.
Oh, it's a heck of a deal.
He's doing all right.
Heck of a deal.
Yeah. All right, man. So we'll get into maybe somebody I would really like. Maybe you can pull this off. All right, in a future show, get one of those coaches on this show from Bethel or Dallas Baptist or one of the schools that actually recruit guys, and I want to talk to them.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
See what you can do on that. All right. The other announcement, I do want to make an announcement. We have Skeet Reese booked.
Oh, you finally got that done.
I sent you a text last night.
I know you sent me a text, but I was just.
I sent you a text.
Just go with it.
What did the text say? Tell everybody what the text said.
That you got Skeet Reese booked for January 30th at like 11 something.
Different time because we had to work around his schedule. All right, so it's going to be 11 a.m. Central Time on January 30th. Skeet Reese live via Skype. What were you doing last night? Were you asleep when I sent that to you?
Yeah, I went to bed. I know I answered you.
I know you said yes. That's why the response that you just gave
No,
me,
I
was
was
a little
asleep.
thrown
I was
off.
in bed at like 8:30.
You act shocked that I even got Skeet booked.
Let's keep moving.
Are you okay? You
Yeah,
all right?
I'm good.
All right, so Skeet Reese, Tuesday, January 30th. We're going to talk. He's got a lot of stuff going on. I also had a conversation with him about how weird it seemed for a certain angler to be using a certain brand
Product.
of rods.
Yeah.
And he said, it was kind of weird, but at the same time, it was very cool.
Can we say it? I mean,
Yeah,
put it out there.
it was on social media,
Shaw
yeah.
Grigsby moved to Wright and McGill after, over 20 years with Quantum, I think?
Yeah.
He's been with
That's
Quantum
big
forever.
news. Big news.
So he's using Wright and McGill. He actually just had like an Instagram post that was like, hey, First Fish, new sponsor reels, and you could see the yellow and black reels in the background.
Yeah.
So before we get to Mr. Cruz, I'd say over the past 4 or 5 months, I have anxiously awaited for each of the new Tackle Warehouse. What's new at Tackle Warehouse? I have no affiliation with Tackle Warehouse. I don't know nobody over there. All I know
I don't
is
either.
I spend a lot of money over there before tournaments sometimes. But like every other week, I was going back starting in about 2017 at the beginning, the A Train, Aaron Quarles comes on and does What's New. And if you're familiar with this, you know what it's all about. But basically, Tackle Warehouse is like a juggernaut in the online tackle industry.
They're like the Amazon.
They're like the Amazon, and they get their 8 or 9 baits that are new that week at Tackle Warehouse, and they come out and they talk about them for 8 or 9 minutes. They put a little 1-minute thing out on Instagram, social media. You can click on the link to buy it, but you can also go watch the full thing on their YouTube page. And, dude, I'm serious. Right now, the A Train, I think he's the best thing going in fishing.
It's pretty funny.
This guy can sell
pretty good,
some
man.
baits, and
He
we've
is
been
really
working
good.
on it. We have not made contact with him yet.
I do have his contact
But we do have his
information.
contact information. But I know I mentioned him before. We talked a little bit about it. But I actually took it upon myself to put a highlight video together. Now it's just a minute long of some of the A Train's finer moments in the What's New at Tackle Warehouse segments. Put it together into the best of the A Train montage.
That's pretty fun.
I mean, if you're gonna watch 3 things on YouTube before, because the water's frozen in a lot of the part of the country.
Yeah.
Morning Tide is a Australian, I believe, YouTube channel. They don't have a ton of followers, but they're these dudes who are badass, and they go catch GTs and tunas and all sorts of crazy stuff and grouper off the rocks in like 10-foot surf. And I mean, it's insane. That's a good one. Matt Allen from Tactical Bassin is like, honestly, anything he says, I just do it. It's like Jason Christie in Oklahoma.
All right.
He just knows, and he tells you and doesn't come across as cocky.
Yeah.
And the A Train's What's New at Tackle Warehouse. So this is a little teaser, and there's video to this. It comes across good too if you're listening just to the iTunes, because this guy can sell bait.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's
Here you
hit
go.
it.
I'm gonna give a shout out to all the guys that stay up all night fantasizing about bass tackle, just like the A Train. Yeah, this show's for you. Look at all that bite on that hook right there. That's a surefire hook set right there. So definitely add this to your arsenal, because the A Train, he's gonna get you if you don't. This has so much topwater action, you're gonna piss off every bass in the vicinity. The tackle gods have sent us a lot of love for me to give to you, so I'm gonna break you off with some tackle, that is. So for you guys that love throwing swim baits, I'm not talking about those little 6-inch paddle tails. No, I'm talking about throwing the big baits. This rod is so beautiful. Come payday, yes, you're gonna find this on the A Train's deck, I promise you that. When I first saw this buzz bait, I was like, why would I pay $16 for a buzz bait? What's that gonna do for me? Maybe you just like to throw soft jerk baits. Bam, got you covered right there.
This is the B Train.
Oh, hell no, get out of here, fool. I pity the fool that mocks the A Train.
Wow.
So props to the A Train and whoever,
We're going to try and get him on the show.
whatever marketing genius at Tackle Warehouse brought the A Train on board. They deserve a raise, because I've listened and watched those products every 2 weeks. And Corey and the other guys over there do a great job as well. But, they're more subdued. They don't really sell it as hard as the A Train.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, if you looked up his stats, does he ever fish any?
I don't know if he's ever
any-
fished anything.
Any BFLs?
I don't know.
or
I
anything?
haven't done that much diving into it. I just like the guy, and have the video capabilities to put the little best of highlights together. So maybe, hopefully, the A-Train will see that and he'll be more likely to be responsive to our requests for a BTL interview.
Hey, somebody, Josh in Missouri, actually sent me a head bass fishing coach phone number and email. The guy's name is John Rinder.
From what?
McKendree?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. I got
That's
a buddy,
big time?
for a guy I know from Illinois who went and fished for McKendree.
All right.
They got a pretty big school.
So we'll see if we can get him on. Make contact with him.
That'll work.
If he's willing to come on. All right, man. What else? Anything else we need to
No,
cover before we take a break?
We are exactly 1 week away from the start of the FLW Tour season on Okeechobee.
Yeah.
And it was some interesting stuff that Scott Martin put out. I don't know why I'm always talking about the YouTube channels, but I've gotten into that recently. And Scott Martin put it out on his YouTube channel. And I found it interesting. He put out like a 15, 20-minute video about him exploring Okeechobee for the upcoming season. You know, with all that vegetation, the productive areas, while they remain the same, the areas within the areas change. Winds, currents, all that type of stuff in that massive lake. And he actually pre-practices out of his airboat. So he doesn't have to worry about crashing through all this stuff and trying to find backwater, what backwater areas are productive then in his bass boat and spend all that time. He took a rod and a reel and he hopped in his airboat and he just can go over all this stuff and get to the backwater areas and see which ones are productive and which ones aren't. And then he said he'll go back in his bass boat as practice starts, and the ones that are productive, he'll see how he can get back in there, and basically saves himself a ton of time by pre-practicing before it's off limits out of an airboat. And I never thought about that, but that's the perfect vessel for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. All right, coming back with John Cruz. Everybody stay tuned.
The most versatile fishing machine on Earth. Unparalleled resolution and clarity, with more agility, lightning speed, and brute strength. HDS Carbon takes rapid response performance and screen technology to an all-new level. Maximized power, maximized visibility. See Structure Scan 3D, new dual chirp sonar, new live network sonar, and more mapping options, all at the same time and faster than ever before. Pros depend on hydraulic jack plates to get the best out of their boats. Do what they do. Demand Atlas performance. Atlas gets you from the bottom to the top in less than 8 seconds, even with the big 4 strokes. And when you gotta turn right around and get that heavy load back up in rough water, Atlas's innovative design and American-made components will get you there with confidence.
I'm at Depot. Just look for yourself. There's an Atlas jack plate on just about every professional's boat.
The Atlas hydraulic jack plate. You can depend on it.
My rods look different because they are different. Every rod is built by the pros and for the pros. When you pick up a white Duffet fishing rod, you're getting a cutting-edge rod, one that's truly pro-driven, with the actions you need for every bait category you fish. I put my name on it. It's my promise to build you a great rod you can count on.
Ducket Fishing, Micro Magic, Macro Magic, or White Ice.
Try them. They work.
What's up, guys? Scott Martin here, Team AFCO. Hey, if you want to have a chance to fish with me at a lake near you, well, check out the link below. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys.
The Lowrance Elite 7 TI. Why does it lead the pack? It's simple. More bang for your buck. Use Elite 7 Ti with the all-new Total Scan transducer, and you get all of your sonar from a single transducer install. That's broadband sounder, chirp sonar, side scan, and down scan imaging from one transducer. Now that's something to chirp about. Elite 7 Ti. Premium features have never been so affordable.
I'm looking for signs before practice even starts. Crossing the bridge, I'm checking for current. Is the lake up or down? What's my watercolor? Bird activity tells me where the shad are before I ever launch my boat. Sometimes the best things hit me right in the face.
The pesky biffle bugs. There's always a hatch on your lake. Made in America by Jean LaRue Lures.
Dang bug juice, it's everywhere.
When I talk about Sunline, I think of one word, confidence.
Sunline FX2 is what I use for all of my frogging and flipping.
S61 braid, which braid plays a big part in fishing line. Shooter, I'm going to use in those close quarter deals like flipping and pitching.
One of my favorite techniques in fishing the tournament trail is to fish offshore ledges.
We have taken the questions out of the equation.
Take my word for it. It works. It works, dude.
All right, we are back. Mark and Matt in studio on a Thursday on a warming trend.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like 60 this weekend, man.
It's going to be glorious.
All right. I think we have John on the line.
I was talking to Mr. Duke yesterday, Ken Duke. He was talking about how the average age of a Bassmaster Classic competitor, I believe, is now right around 41 years old.
Wow.
That's the average age. And I was looking at Cruz's
He's 40.
stats. He's 40, but he has 10 Classic appearances. He'll have 11 Classic appearances under his belt now after this next one coming up before the age of the average competitor in the Classic. So that's kind of a cool stat you can
vet, man.
hang your hat on.
Yeah, all right, let's bring him in. John, you there?
Yeah, I hear that. That's good stuff right there.
That is good stuff, man. You're like one of the old guys now.
Well, actually, technically, I'm almost average. I don't know. I'm almost to the average age. I'm getting there.
You are getting there, man. It's good to talk to you. A lot going on. Matt and I were discussing the fact that you were one of the, if not the only, besides Boyd Duckett, the only guy that has a tackle company that owns a tackle company.
Like a major tackle company that's in like all the big box stores and everything.
Yeah, that competes on the Elite Series. Is that the case?
Yeah, that basically is. You know, the one you kind of left out is Tim Horton.
Right. Yeah.
He started that Profound Outdoors. Now their avenue of distribution is a little different, but he has still got a lot of stuff going on, man. He has got a lot of different baits going on and all kind of stuff. So I would put Tim Horton right in there in that mix as well.
Yeah. So there's three. I mean, you guys are obviously the top echelon, have a lot of eyes on you. Why do you think that there's so few guys who run? Is it just that difficult to juggle that much stuff?
Well, the first thing is probably it's just a lot of damn work. That's the biggest thing. And you know, I saw Tim and I got to visit with him quite a bit last weekend, and so that's, you know, he and I were talking about, you know, managing our time, and yeah, he's asked me a lot of different questions on, because I'm a little further ahead than he is on some different stuff. So we rap back and forth about all kind of stuff, and he tells me some stuff that's worked for him and back and forth. So it's been good. And I mean, shoot, as far as Boyd goes, man, that dude he's developing all kind of houses and stuff around like Gunnersville. I mean, that dude cannot sit still. He's got his hands in all kind of stuff. So I don't know how he has time to do everything he does, but yeah, you know, going back to, I would say for me, going all the way back to like middle school, I found out that my grades were a whole lot better when I was playing a sport and during a hunting or fishing season. So if I had no free time, that's when I was doing my best at everything. If I had a whole lot of free time, then I don't know. I just started to lose. I don't know if I lose focus or what you want to call it, but that just seems to work for me.
Do you do missile baits business while you're on the water? I mean, I know there's guys who sometimes will sit down and say, okay, I got to do a half-hour work here and call, and other guys who just put their cell phones on silent and have someone who takes care of all that while they're practicing or getting ready, because there's a lot of guys who have other jobs outside of the industry other than fishing. Are you a guy who's constantly thinking about work on the water, or can you put that in the back of your mind and focus 100% on fishing when it's tournament time?
Well, I tell you, it's go so much outside of the tournaments when I get to a tournament, and all I have to mainly focus on is fishing. Believe it or not, it's almost like a vacation, man. I really enjoy it. But on the water, I would say that I still check emails occasionally, and I still try to keep up with what's going on, because I can tell you, when you get the reputation of being somebody who's hard to get a hold of, that's somebody that people do not want to do business with. I'm that way, and I expect other people that I do business are that way, and that's what I'm going to try to do, is make sure that I'm available. They know at least okay, he's at a tournament. He replied back to me. He only said 5 words, but he acknowledged that he would get back to me next week. Okay, cool. That's cool. No problem. And I just feel like that's a good way to. That's just a good little piece of business advice, no matter what industry you're in. Another guy who follows that real quick, Mark, is the one and only Charlie Hartley. I had the pleasure of spending a day on the water with him, and he's cutting up, and we're talking about bass fishing, and then bam, he switches into business mode. It was unbelievable. He sat down, he pulls out his binder, his notebooks, he runs the sign company, and he just starts working on deals, and the boat's drifting, and I look at him, I'm like motioning, can I go up there and keep fishing? He's like, yeah, keep fishing. He's back working there doing his deal, making multiple calls, 3-way calling in. And I said, okay, well, this makes sense why Charlie could spend so much time on the water. He's a great multitasker. Right, exactly. And those were things that needed to be done or things that needed to be recognized, and he just stopped, took the time to do them, and those people acknowledged that. You're like, man, he gets right back to me. I love this guy, and I'm going to keep doing business with him, and that's why he can fish as much as he wants, as long as he can get his business done at the same time. Well, there was one guy who he got off the phone and he goes, boy, I hope he couldn't tell that I was on the lake.
That's pretty funny. Right. Hey, John, a lot of people on the instant feedback, they have some business questions. They want to get your thoughts on a lot of stuff when it comes to running a tackle company and a soft plastic company. And I have a lot of questions too. We're going to get to that, but we're also going to get to some fishing questions and talk about 2018 and some of the stops and all that. But the first thing that a couple people mentioned on the instant feedback, they want to know, how many people do you have working at Missile Baits? And you have to be able to trust and put great people in place so you can focus on the task at hand. What is kind of the structure from a people standpoint of your company?
Yeah, we've got 3 full-time people that are there, whenever I'm not there, or they're, the whole time. And then we've got some part-time guys that come in and help with some different stuff. We got 3 of those part-time guys. One guy, he comes in occasionally, but he's not too consistent. But that's basically what our team looks like. And Julie's our office manager. She does a fantastic job of kind of staying on top of everything, on top of all the orders, making sure that they're filled. Mark is a full-time. He's basically he packs everything up, does all the odds and ends in the warehouse, and then Shannon, he's my guy. I've known him for a long time. Anything with a computer, that dude can figure it out as far as video production, graphic work, logos. He builds our website, keeps that up. He does a bunch of other anglers' websites as well. That dude has all kind of stuff going on, and if it's something with a computer, he can figure it out, and that's invaluable for what we, for being a small business. You got to have one of those people.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Josh in Missouri wants to know, when you start up a soft plastic company, did you just order a mold, or did you actually carve out the mold in wood? How did that whole thing get started?
Well, our manufacturer, we don't actually do the manufacturing. There's a company that does basically OEM work for a lot of companies in the industry. I've known it's a family, and I've known the family for, probably 5 or 6 years at least before I even started Missile Baits. So as I was, kind of having the idea for the company, I was consulting with them on, how to go about getting the shapes made exactly how I wanted and all that kind of stuff. And they guided me in the right direction, connected me with the right people. And I actually draw out the baits with the exact dimensions on graph paper, exactly to how I want them. And then I send them to the mold people. That gives them the dimensions they need to put into the CAD drawing software. Then they mill out a single shot mold of the bait that we're trying to do. We run prototypes of that. If it's right, then we make a full production mold of it. And then, or if it's not, then I readjust it. Then I send them a new drawing. Then they readjust and cut a new mold until we get it right. Like for the D-bomb, we went through about 6 different variations till we got it right. But then, man, like the last 3 or 4 baits that we've made, I haven't had to make a single adjustment. Now, part of that is me getting better at knowing exactly how to make a bait do what I want it to. But at the same time, just kind of, I think you get lucky on the little streaks, and that's what I did there for a little while. But so that's kind of the process how they get from an idea to an actual bait.
All right, Brian in Philadelphia wants to know, who is your favorite retail/wholesaler to work with? Bass Pro Shops, Tackle Warehouse. Who's your favorite one to work with?
It's a tricky question, Mark.
No, it's just it's not that he has an issue with anybody. It's just
okay.
Who's his best to work with.
We have a number of them. Yeah, we have a number of them that we deal with, and that are great to deal with. We were doing business with a distributor last year that went out of business. They were difficult. They owed us a crap load of money, and they were difficult to deal with from the beginning. So I was actually glad that's no longer in the picture. But I mean, everybody else that we deal with, I mean, we sell a ton to a distributor called Pittman Creek. They are super easy to deal with. Obviously, Tackle Warehouse is a huge player in the online game, and they are super easy to deal with. And great correspondence. Man, they have that company set up really well. And Bass Pro is easy to deal with. They do what's called EDI, which is a electronic data interface, which is is basically how they order, which adds like another step to the process. But still, I mean, even with them, I mean, emailing back and forth and adjusting orders, they're super easy to deal with.
John, and I don't know if you even know these numbers, but what % of your baits does someone go into a store, see them, pick them off the shelf, and then go fish with them? And what % are the guys who are sitting in their computer chair, click and order a couple packs and wait till they come to their door?
Man, it is really hard to say that. The online, I think, grows every year, and one of the things that I've been the most surprised about, to not answer your question but tell you something interesting, is that Bass Pro Shops, I believe that they sell more online than anybody would believe, because I know how much we sell to them, and I know how many stores they have, and I know how much we see it in the stores, and I know how much brick and mortar retailers sell. I think Bass Pro Shop sells more online than people would believe.
Interesting. All right, let's see here. Matt in North Carolina wants to know, what's your favorite missile bait?
Well, the D-bomb has been our bread and butter. It's our number one seller, and we've got a lot of good selling products and baits, but that's definitely our number one deal. So it'd be hard for me to go away from the D-bomb. I've caught a ton of fish on it, and I've caught some big fish on it. It's just a big power fishing bait.
All right, David in Wisconsin wants to know, what's it like trying to work with Ike and Ellie in developing a bait?
Ike is a piece of work. It's like I would say communicating with Ike is like back in the Roman era when they would send dogs with notes attached to their collar to like the next community over, and then you'd have to wait like 5 days or something for the dog to come back with a different note answering the question. That, to me, that's the best analogy I could tell you on working with Ike and Nelly. But I mean, I've known him forever, way before we had any dealings with missile jigs. But that's just how it is. If I need anything, you just call his wife Becky, and her and I have a great relationship as well. So I'll call her if I really need to know something. If not, I kind of know the little windows to be able to communicate with them. So it works for us.
I think he's headed to like Taiwan or something right now.
He is, yeah. Man. He's shooting that show for Nat Geo, and man, that is going to be huge. The number of viewers they have on that network is out of this world. So I think that's going to be great for bass fishing and especially his brand. Very, very cool. All right, our good friend Jimmy on the Instagram.
Oh, this is going to be a good one, John.
He does. He has
I know, that's what I said. He has the hard-hitting questions.
I'm really curious about this, too. Okay, when Ish won on Okeechobee with the D-Bomb, how much increase did you see in sales as a result of that?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I'll tell you, we had a distributor that came by our booth at the Bassmaster Classic. That was February. We opened for business in January 2012. February 2012, we're at the Bassmaster Classic displaying, talking, fishing, and all that kind of stuff. And sure enough, this guy comes by the booth. I wasn't there. I was fishing the tournament. A guy comes by from a distributor and said, "Hey, man, we work at this distributor. We want to see what we can do to help move you guys into some better place. You guys got good product." And so he leaves the card. He said, "Have John call me." Okay, sure. So I called the guy. We ended up giving him all the pricing. He goes to sell our product to Dick's Sporting Goods the week of Ish's tournament.
Wow.
Their meeting was on Friday. Ish bails 35 pounds the first day of the tournament and stands up there on stage and says, "Yeah, I caught him on the D-Bomb. Yep, I'm telling everybody what I caught him on because I know nobody else has got him. So here they are. That's 35 pounds. And the guys go into that meeting with the people from Dick's Sporting Goods. They set the baits on the table before they could even say anything. All the buyers looked and go, "Oh yeah, missile baits. Yeah, John Cruz, Ish Monroe. Yeah, the D-Bomb. Let me see those things." And they whip them out and look at them. They're like, "Oh, these are yeah. How many stores are we going to put these things in?" The guy said he's never had a new brand with that kind of that kind of easy sell. It's like the easiest thing he's ever done in his life. So it was just kind of funny how that all lined up, and the timing could not have been more perfect.
Cool. All right. Very interesting question from Josh in Missouri. He wants to know, from a business standpoint, what would be more rewarding? You winning the Classic or somebody else winning the Classic using a missile bait?
There would definitely be a sense of satisfaction on somebody winning the Classic on a missile bait that, where the bait was definitely the deal. The bait was the one that did it. But I mean, I'm a competitor, dude. I'm going to be the one to win. That's not even close.
Hey, I got a question. Do you have, molds of missile baits that are not available to the general public that you use in your tournaments? I guess kind of early prototypes, things that you test out? Because I would imagine with the pull that you have, you could get any design done.
Yes and no. We've had some prototypes done that we did not make full production molds of, and that's one thing. Two, that with the missile jigs, we can have different hooks and things like that put into some of those jigs that are not production, so to speak. And that's one thing that's pretty cool about the jigs. And then we definitely do have a few pet colors that are run that are not commercially available, that only myself and whoever I choose to give them to have.
Wow.
How often do you have people approach you with, "Hey man, I got the next thing. We need to go into a locked room and I need to pull out my notepad and show you this next big thing and you need to buy it from me for a ton of money"?
Well, I'm going to the Richmond Fishing Expo this weekend. I'll bet you I'll have at least half a dozen right there. Every single, and when I tell everybody the same thing, every single bait that we've come out with has been something that I've designed because I need it, not because it's a cool design. Everything's designed out of necessity, not out of, hey man, this is the new latest greatest widget, and so that's it doesn't really fit into our business model to do that.
What's the craziest one? You don't have to say names or anything. Is there one that sticks out where you got done and this guy showed you this and you called up one of your buddies and was like, "Wait till you hear what I just saw"?
I'll tell you a funny story. The guy, older, it was a real old guy, sent me a letter and it was handwritten and it was obvious that he was not a young person. And he wrote me this letter, and he said, "Man, I make these baits. I've caught some fish on them. I'll never be able to afford to sponsor anybody, and I'm never going to make the Bassmaster Classic. Could you throwing this bait at least one cast in the Bassmaster Classic?" And it was here's the long and the short of it was a spinner bait with a chatter bait in front of it. It's kind of the gist of it. And this was it did not break any laws or anything like that. It's with Bassmaster. So I had it tied on a rod, and sure enough, during the middle of the day, I picked it up. I made like 3 or 4 casts with it. I'm like, all right, well, yeah, and then I emailed the guy, or actually, I wrote him. I had to write him back because he didn't have an email, and he wrote me back and just how appreciative he was. That was kind of the weirdest one.
Well, that's a good story.
Cool.
That's a very cool story.
Yeah. Dude, the instant feedback is blowing up, and I know we only have
how long before you get to where you're going or need to make another call?
I've got about 2.5 hours.
Oh, we're good. I
got all the time you want.
I don't think we'll go that long. All right, let's see here. Josh in Missouri wants to know, what are your thoughts about so many acquisitions in the tackle industry and the private equity groups getting involved? What are your thoughts?
That to me is very interesting. From what I've seen in smaller companies, is that when you have a smaller company, the person that owns it and runs it has an extreme vested interest in the success of that company, and they've probably built a lot of their business on personal relationships they have with various retailers, distributors, et cetera, et cetera. If a company is large enough, you lose that. You lose that personal relationship portion, and I think, being a company being acquired is not a huge deal. If the company is small enough, I think that it could affect the business. It could affect it negatively, could affect it positively, because if a bigger company buys it, like War Eagle was bought by Pradco, and War Eagle, they did a good job. They sold a lot to Walmart and all that kind of stuff, but they still did not have the distribution that they potentially could. And a company like Pradco may be able to increase their distribution, and as long as the quality stays the same and they don't mess up, the best-selling colors and that like that, it may be a positive move. Then again, a lot of people like dealing with the guy. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. That own War Eagle, and a lot of people say he's a really nice guy. I've never spent much time with him, so I don't know. But a lot of people like him, and I'm sure a lot of people did business with him because of that relationship. So, depending on the size of the company as to how it could be affected, I think that the larger companies getting bought up, like the Strike Kings and the Lew's, shouldn't make a huge difference in the function of those companies.
All right, a number of people want to know, are you going to have a booth at the Classic?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to have a booth at the Classic, and we're going to have all kind of cool, fun apparel and accessory items. We're not going to compete against other retailers. I know of at least two, and it usually ends up being one or two additional more retailers are going to have booths at the Classic. So we don't want to sell against our retailers, and we're just going to come with a bunch of cool apparel, have fun with it. We got the at the show last weekend and this weekend, we have these red T-shirts that say "Do Tackle and Chill" on the front, and it looks remarkably like the Netflix logo. So we've had some fun with some stuff like that, and we're going to have some items like that and more at the Classic. So definitely come by and check those out.
All right. Has a PEG, a private equity group, or anybody else approached you and said, "Hey, man, we want missile baits"? Can you comment on that?
By a couple different companies, but that's not in our business model at this time. You know, when a company looks to be acquired, they run their books a certain way to make them, the company as lean as possible. It'll make them look as profitable as possible, and that's not what I do with missile baits. So that's not what we're looking to do in the near future. And so we're not seriously looking at it, but at some point, if the right price comes along, you'd be an idiot not to do it. But that's not the way I'm running the company anytime soon.
I mean, we had a bunch of stuff to talk about with you, but this just turned into a business seminar.
It's
almost.
what they want
No,
to hear.
I know. I'm saying it's good. So I had another question along that line. As a business owner, soft plastic business owner, would you, and you're an angler too, but just putting your business cap on, would you like to see the Classic move to a time of the year where the opportunity for a wider array of baits comes into play, thereby giving a company like Missile Baits a greater chance of producing a Bassmaster Classic winning product?
No, I don't like it. I want it to bounce back and forth between February and March. If you go to March into Classic like we've done, it opens up all the way to the middle part of the country. I mean, like Oklahoma to Virginia. That line across the country is wide open for a Classic at this point, and that's where the majority of the lakes are. That's where the majority of the bass fishermen are. I don't think it needs to go any further than that, and that's still like on the fringe of when people are eat up with the cabin fever. But I like the February Classics from a sales standpoint. I mean, I'm working shows every weekend this weekend, and people are just, they're rabid. They're just ready to go fishing. But I think that's when you got to have the Classic. It'd be to have the biggest participation as far as people coming to the weigh-ins, coming to the expo, all that kind of stuff is earlier in the year versus later in the year. You have it in the summertime, I'll bet you the attendance goes down by 30%.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take. All right, Brian in Philly wants to know, do you guys deal directly with Amazon, or does it go through a distributor?
We have two distributors that do business with Amazon, but we deal directly with Amazon. And everything is automated with them. So we'll get the one or two. We get all of our POs from them on Mondays. That's just how they do business. And sometimes we'll have to ship to various warehouses, because I think last count they've got like 70 some warehouses around the country.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to ship to a couple different warehouses. But that's how they do it. They just send automated email orders once a week.
Oh, by the way, Jimmy posted a comment, Matt, directed to you.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Matt, chill. You can talk about fishing anytime. This is very, very interesting."
This is about fishing.
So relax.
This is about fishing.
Relax.
I could ask it just as many questions, too.
By the way, Jimmy and a couple other people want to know, is there anything on the horizon that you can talk about from a bait standpoint?
Yeah, man, absolutely. We'll get some buzz going. I just got back the second prototype of a little drop shot bait we're looking to come out with, and just think drop shot bait that looks like a D-bomb, and you'll have an idea of what it's gonna look like. We're gonna call it the bomb shot, as original as that can be. But the bait looks fantastic under the water. The first one was a little too skinny, and then so I had to beef it up. I had to send it back and let it work out for a little while, and it bulked up, and it's ready. It's ready. I think it's ready to go. I'm gonna actually play with it this weekend at the expo while I'm doing seminars on the tank and see what it looks like. But other than that, we've got a new jig coming with Ike and Ellie. I don't want to spill too much about that, but the type of jig this is somewhat untapped as far as a big company with a jig like this, and I think we could start a trend because it's pretty badass, if I do say so. And it's not a swim jig. If people are asking you, it's not a swim jig. I just put that out there right away. And then we also have a Ned rig head. I was really trying to get that to have a classic release, but it's just not ready. Our manufacturer that's doing the prototypes is taking forever, and so I just pulled the plug and said, no, we're not doing it for the classic. We'll have it a little later in the spring, but it'd be too rushed to have it for the classic.
Very cool. All right, last missile baits business question, and then we're going to move on to John Cruz, the professional angler question. Josh in Missouri wants to know, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned from a business standpoint owning this company?
I've learned a ton, and as y'all probably know, with all the endeavors you've done, Mark, if you think you know a lot about something, start a business in that field, or just go ahead and do that full time, and then you'll realize how much you didn't know before you started. So I've learned a ton about the whole industry and running a tackle company, but and business also in general. But I'd say that the one underlying theme is trust your gut and don't worry about hurting people's feelings, because if you have a feeling that somebody's going to screw you over, they will.
I like it.
You just literally laid out Jeffrey's life plan, John Cruz. Great. You have no idea. You just opened Pandora's box. You just solidified Jeffrey's.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's beautiful. I've got to save that audio clip right there. That is golden. Golden.
Oh, I'm in big trouble now. Thanks a lot.
Golden.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yep.
That's freaking awesome. All right, Jimmy.
Hey.
We're gonna dive right in here, John. Jimmy, he wants to know.
Yep.
So, how does a company like Evan Williams tell you that they are done in bass fishing with less than a 6 months heads up?
Was it over a drink?
I mean, what the heck? Why? What happened with the whole Evan Williams thing?
They basically wanted to send me to rehab, and no, I'm just kidding, man. I tell you, those people are extremely, extremely smart. Everybody I dealt with in their branding and marketing department, very smart, sharp people. Love dealing with them. Great about getting back to you quickly and all that stuff. But they hired on at the beginning of 2017. They hired a new marketing firm that was going to handle a lot of their ads, and so. In corporate America, there's various ad agencies that handle, certain companies' advertising and like their messaging, so to speak. And I think the reason that they do that is because when they want to change messaging and change branding, they can just change advertising firms and not have to fire a bunch of people and hire new people.
Right.
So they can kind of pick and advertising firms, from what I've gathered, they seem to specialize in certain things, and the company that they got specializes in just digital advertising. So Evan Williams in 2017 got away from all print advertising, and they were just doing all digital ads, and they were going to reduce the amount of event marketing, and so it got to where the bass fishing portion did not fit in with where they wanted to continue to take the Evan Williams brand going forward. And they let us know in, I think, October, somewhere in that time frame that we were not going to be renewed. And I mean, the lady that we deal with, Anna, she is just so awesome, and she fought her little self to death trying to keep me and Hank on the team and trying to keep our contracts, but she ended up losing out to her bosses and the ad group that they had hired on. So that's just part of it. You know, I went through the same thing with Advanced Auto, a number of years back, and yeah, it's part of the deal with advertising. If you've not had that happen long enough in the corporate world in advertising, you haven't been doing business in advertising in the corporate world very long. So that's just the way it works.
No, that's a good point. A number of people want to know, what stop are you looking forward to the most this year on tour?
Man, every year I look at the schedule to see if I fished those places before, and if I did, how did I do? And the last time 2 years ago, we went to the Upper Chesapeake Bay, and I royally sucked in that tournament. And I went up there and spent a couple days before the cutoff and learned my way around, and I mean, really throttled him pretty good, but obviously the fishing was different. And so I felt good about it. I felt good. It was a lot of familiar looking water, and I totally sucked in that tournament. So I want some redemption on that Upper Chesapeake Bay. So believe it or not, that's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
All right, good stuff. Jimmy wants to know, does it surprise you that bass has not been back to Smith Mountain? Is it because of the economic status in the area, or they just don't want to pay to play? A little bit more of the second. They've bid on it. They've bid on an event. I don't know about for 2018, but I know in 16 and 17 they put in a respectable bid to get an event. They weren't promised an event or anything like that, but then they didn't win. They didn't get an event. So they're actively still trying to have an event at Smith Mountain Lake, but they just haven't won that bid in the last few years.
Going to every elite stop for the past 10 years, that ranks in my top 3 as venues to hold Elite Series tournaments
That's
on,
pretty
from
cool.
the where you stay there at that lodge with all the golf courses around to the lake, the diversity of the lake. It's a cool stop.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, and I was when it was coming there, I was a little worried that people would talk crap about the lake and the area and all that, because it's unique because there's no interstates close by. There's not a whole bunch of hotels close by. There's a couple resorts and then a ton of houses to room. And I was just a little worried what people would do. I don't think I heard a single complaint in the 3 years we had events there from an angler's perspective about, man, this place is a crap hole, or man, I hope we never come. I don't think I ever heard that, and that's like, as you know, Matt and Mark, from covering and talking to a lot of Elite Series events, a lot of guys that comes out of their mouth.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who are not very positive. It's amazing you own your self business, and it's just constantly negative.
Yeah. Hey, Matt in North Carolina wants to know, are you going to fish the Opens?
No, I'm not fishing the Opens. The non-elite events, and then the AOY, and then the Classic. There's 11 events is perfect for me. For everything else that I've got going on, I don't have any desire to do the Opens or MLF or any of that kind of stuff. I think the schedule the way it is perfect.
If you had to pick one, if someone could say you could either run missile baits for the next 10 years or fish professionally for the next 10 years, but it's one or the other, which one would you pick?
Ooh.
If like, income and all that stuff was equal, I would probably say the tournaments. I mean, I love the tournaments. I enjoy the tournaments. I love the design and promotion of the missile baits. But I'm a competitor by nature, and that's what I love.
All right. A few people want to know, how do they qualify for the bomb squad?
Well, when we started the company, we had a little over 40, well, close to 50, I think it was, bomb squad guys when we started. And here we are 6 years later, and we've only got just over 60 now. And so we don't add a lot of, maybe one or two guys a year, maybe three if we drop one guy, but we try to keep it small and intimate so we can know all the guys and gals and keep them involved and just keep it more like a family. So we do that in the fall. We kind of evaluate what we're looking at and who we're going to add, and usually it's obvious each fall who we're going to add because we've got people out there that either send us pictures, email us pictures, post on social media, and tag Missile Baits. It's pretty obvious. You're like, this person is who we need to add because they just been killing it, for whatever reason. They've been doing a great job.
Are you continuing your relationship with Caleb Sumrall after he won the Bass Nation? I know he had a big missile logo on his jersey, and now he's a rookie on the Elite Series.
Oh yeah. He went straight from bomb squad to the pro staff.
There you go.
He that's how we've done it. We had Gerald Sporer on our bomb squad before he qualified before he even fished the FLW Tour, much less the Elite. And that's a neat deal. And so I like that. I like being able to move guys up. When we did kind of the same thing with Mark Daniels Jr., we had him when he was fishing FLW and moved over to the Elites. We had him, and then he just blew up this year. So we ended up losing him to Z-Man. He's promoting Z-Man Soft Plastics now. We couldn't keep up business wise with really what his value was. And what he needed, it is a business. We love that guy, and he did a great job for us, and I'm glad he's with a company that we like. They're the great guys over there.
All right, Matt in North Carolina wants to know, what's your title sponsor this year? Is it going to be Missile?
It's going to be a combination. Yeah, Missile is probably going to be the primary on the wrap. Man, I've had all kind of different things going back and forth, and yes, no, and then things end up falling apart at the end. So it's a little frustrating this off season as far as filling that gap, which I thought would have been easier to fill. But a couple of companies are stepping up a little bit, and that's good. But it's going to be primarily a missile bait trap.
All right, Andy in Indiana wants to know, what are your thoughts about Bass Live?
I think Bass Live is really interesting, and I think there's some fantastic aspects about it, about getting more people involved and watching it. The one thing that I always harp on in our Elite Angler Advisory Board meetings is that we got to be real careful about showing things to the public that change the outcome of the event. And so I've tried to use the analogy to the people at Bass, and they understand it and they get it, but at the same time they're trying to increase their viewership as much as possible. So it's a fine line for them. But the biggest thing is it's the equivalent of going into the locker room of the opposing team at halftime and broadcasting that as during halftime. You're like, oh, here's what the coach is saying. The coach is saying, hey guys, they came out here in a cover 2, and so we're going to attack them with these different looks, and that's what they're just broadcasting that out live, and then the other team can sit there and watch it, and then they can adjust to their adjustments at halftime. And where you don't have the option to not broadcast that. I mean, anglers don't have any control over it. I mean, we got to do what we got to do to catch as many fish as possible every day. And we've got a 4-day event, and after each day, there's all this information, and I mean, you can't hide a lot of things. If you're next to some huge landmark, like a big silo on a point or a windmill somewhere, I mean, everybody in the world knows exactly where you are. And if you caught them on a particular bait, boy, they're going to see it 3 feet away from it on that Bass Live. And I mean, whether the public comes in and somebody from the public, some renegade goes out there and, is right on your spot and trying to catch your fish, or the, another competitor slides in there because of quote unquote public information now. It could change the outcome of the event. And that is not what we need. We need to educate the public. We need to show as much as possible, but we got to be cautious about changing the outcome of the events.
Okay, I totally get what you're saying from an angler standpoint. Now put your tackle owner hat on, and what's your thoughts about Bass Live, about getting the exposure of your product?
Well, I'll tell you this much. Since Bass Live, and there's other events that are similar, I have a different practice strategy. Now, I don't live on Bass Live, to be honest, but as far as I'm not covered all the time, but if I'm prepared, let's just say I'm trying to prepare myself in practice, should I be put in a position to be exposed on live. I try to practice with that in mind. I know a couple other anglers that do the same thing. One of them goes by 3 initials and does really well with it. So that's all I can, that's what I'll say about that part of it. Yeah, from a tackle perspective, oh hell yeah. Yeah, it's good for the tackle sales.
All right.
That's interesting. There's a lot to read in. There's a lot to read into that.
Yeah, this has been a really, really good segment, John. I really appreciate you taking time out and answering a lot of these questions. All right, Jimmy wants to know, what boat are you running? Are you running a Lynx?
Yes, I am. I'm running that Bass Cat Lynx. I spent a little time this morning before I left trying to do 1 or 2 more things on it. I got my locker bar mounted on there and a couple other things, but I'm going to try to get it broke in next week. I've had the thing for 2 weeks, and being that it's show season and the weather totally sucks here in Virginia, I haven't had a chance to take it out. But hopefully I can do that next week. So I was trying to chip away at getting it rigged. I can't wait till I've got a new Mercury Verado on the back. I'm excited about that. I have not been able to find an angler, on the elites, FLW or otherwise, that can say a bad word about the Mercury Verado. They seem to be very reliable and quiet and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited about running that motor on that boat.
All right. Brian wants to know, have you done any special prep for the 2018 season? Is there anything that you worked on your game, or is there anything special or different from a prep standpoint that you've done this year that you haven't done in the past?
That's hard to say. I feel like I try to prepare as much as possible for each event. And I'll tell you one thing that has changed for us, and we haven't really been through a season to evaluate it yet, but they did away with getting any information with for any of the events. So no, as far as going ahead of time and pre-fishing with guys or any of that kind of stuff, that's all done. That's all out, and I'm glad of that. For me, it saves even the hassle of the whole situation. And a lot of what I ran into is that, because I know a lot of dealers, and there's a lot of anglers that have been around for a while and know a lot of guys all over the country. What happens is, let's say, we're going to Upper Chesapeake Bay, let's say, like I was talking about later this year. I know a handful of guys that fish it pretty regular and are pretty damn good. One of them is total smoke up there. I can't call him. I don't want to call him. And he knows now that since we have this no information deal, I can't call him. So his feelings are not hurt when I don't call him. And what I would do is I'd have guys go, oh man, you get up there to the event, they come out and watch the weigh-in. Man, why didn't you call me? I was catching 20 pounds in the whole last month. Like, well, what am I going to call 10 guys at every tournament that I go to? No, I don't do that. That's not, some guys, I guess they do that, but I don't do it. I don't have the desire to. And so for me, it's going to be nice for that reason.
Very cool. All right, last thing we're going to talk about, Jimmy and a couple other people want to know about how the world of college football is going for Noah at James Madison.
Oh, yeah, we joke he's living the red shirt life. This past year, they brought in about 26 freshmen in their incoming class last year, between scholarship kids and walk-ons and so forth. And I think they had maybe two kids quit the team. And I mean, they may have more, this off season, but they had two kids quit the team. I think about 5 of them played, and then the rest all redshirted. So that's a pretty substantial chunk of players to redshirt, and just from knowing Noah and that whole class, there are some really good, talented kids in that redshirted this past season. So they're going to be good, for the next few years to come. And they graduated a lot. He's at JMU, and they lost in the national championship. Their quarterback graduated, and they had some major pieces on defense, especially, that graduated. And I don't think they're going to. Defensively, it's hard to beat that team they had last year. That team was fantastic. And so they may not be quite as good defensively, but I think they're going to be as good or better offensively next year.
How cool was the recruiting process? I know he was a stud.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting, but at the same time, it's very frustrating. I know that Noah got very frustrated in his recruiting. And again, he's my stepson. There was Noah Beckley is his name. If guys go to look him up on the roster out there, and he was recruited as a quarterback / athlete because he's got high 4.4 speed, and he's 6'1", 190, 195. He's in that range. So size-wise, he can do some different things. He played quarterback in the summer. They moved him around to receiver, quarterback, and corner, and they really liked how he looked at slot receiver and at quarterback, and they asked him if he wanted to stay at quarterback because they thought he would definitely be able to start for JMU within, probably in 2 years, just the way that, from the guys they had on the roster. And they said, or you'll definitely play next year if you move to slot because of your athletic ability, your hands, and all that. And he said, sign me up for the playing because I want to. He said it kills him just to stand on the sideline and watch. He said he can't. He just, because he feels like he can contribute better than a lot of the kids on the field. So he's ready to go. So he's going to be moving to slot receiver next year, and we'll see how that goes. I know it's a little learning curve on figuring out how to block, especially when you got corners that he's blocking against in practice that are getting recruited by NFL scouts. So they're pretty good.
Wow. Yeah, I remember you showing me some huddle highlights of when he was in high school, and the kid's got an enormous amount of talent. What were some of the other schools? Do you remember some of the other schools that were taking a look at him?
He was really torn between JMU and William and Mary. William and Mary is a school about an hour in Williamsburg, Virginia, about an hour east of Richmond. Very prestigious school, very historic school, and he was kind of torn between the two. And one of his best friends, that was the middle linebacker on the two teams that they won the state championship Noah's junior and senior year, with Noah as quarterback and his best friend as the fullback and middle linebacker. He actually went to William and Mary. So that was kind of a tough decision for Noah, but he loves it up there at JMU. The school is a lot bigger. I mean, there's over 20,000 kids at JMU, and that's more what he likes, that kind of environment.
All right, very cool. Last question, man. We're gonna end it with a smallmouth question from the instant feedback. TJ in North Carolina wants to know, what is the hidden jewel from a smallmouth fishery in Virginia or North Carolina that a lot of people don't know about?
That's a good question. I know that in Virginia, Smith Mountain Lake's got some decent smallmouth. Claytor Lake's a smaller lake a little west. It's got some good smallmouth. The new river below below Claytor Lake. It runs north up through West Virginia. It's got some really good smallmouth fishing all along that river, and also the James River on the northern end of Botetourt County, which is only maybe 40 minutes from Salem. There's some really good smallmouth fishing up all through there, especially as far as numbers. But I mean, they catch 4 and 5 pounders on that river, especially earlier in the season when those big ones are feeding up and they get in those deeper holes.
Very cool. Matt, anything else, man?
I'm all out. That was a good hour.
A really, really good show. I mean, I really appreciate you taking time out, John, giving everybody some insight from a business standpoint. I mean, the instant feedback was blowing up, a ton of questions. And good luck to you this year, man.
Good deal. Man, I appreciate it. It's just fun, you know, the whole aspect of it. I tell people that the missile baits portion of it is also competitive, and I enjoy that side of it as well. And the fishing, the tournament fishing and the bait company go hand in hand. They're synergistic. So I enjoy doing both of them, and trying to spend as much time with my family in between all the chaos.
All right, very cool, man. Good luck to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right,
Thanks,
man.
John.
Take care, man.
Thanks.
See ya. All right, there you have it. John Cruz, great stuff.
Yeah, we got lucky that he was just trucking along there and had a good signal in that neck of the woods. But
kind of broke up a couple of times.
Yeah, very open about the business and his career and how it developed. And I remember when they first came out, there were some people that were like, the industry's saturated with soft plastics. Why would he want to try to compete in that massive market against the big boys? And I would say he's now one of the big boys, wouldn't you?
I totally agree. Now, there were some things in that interview that were said that if you go back and you listen to it, you might pick up some clues on some things that were said that on your initial watching or listening of it, you may not have picked up. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well,
there's like 3 things in there.
I'm sure they were business-related things.
No. A couple of fishing-related things. One business, but there were 3 things.
What was one of them?
Dude, I'm not saying a word. You're going to have to figure it out.
Meaning he said something alluding to something else?
Yes.
What?
That if you weren't really dialed in and processed what he said, you wouldn't relate to exactly what he was talking about.
Okay, I might have to go
You're
back.
You're kind of out on a loop today anyway.
Well, I took some NyQuil last night, and I think it stayed with me into the morning.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I was very interested in that.
Yeah. And he was very, very open about a lot of stuff, and he solidified what I've been saying for how many years?
Well, I mean,
many years.
Listen,
my friend.
There are many ways you can take what he said and still apply it in a.
Dude, you need some coffee. You're starting to slur now.
There are certain ways
not dialed in.
to take what
You're
he
like
said and still
3.
apply it in a positive light. He didn't just say that you can go scorched earth if it's not what you like.
Yeah. But there's some things in there.
Was I really slurring my words?
Yes.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were. You can go back and listen to that. Make that 4
I slept
items.
straight through my alarm this morning, too. I woke up at 7:30 and just put on the exact clothes that I had yesterday.
Yeah, there are some very, very cool things in that interview that if you go back and you listen to it and kind of dissect it and really think about what he's talking about, you'll pick up on some juice. There's some juice in there.
Cool.
So you need a nap, don't you? I've never seen you like this, man.
Mellow?
No, you're just I don't even know how to describe it. We've never done this show where you're slurring words.
I wasn't slurring my words.
You need
I
about
think
3 more of those.
I was not slurring my words. I think you just misheard me.
See, man, and there were people that were giving you grief about, shh, Matt, we're talking business. Shh.
One guy.
It's like right there. No. Numerous people. You could see it.
I'll look at it.
Oh, geez. So anyway, All right, man. So you're going to venture out this weekend. Thunderbird,
if it's not too windy.
Make sure everything's good to go. We made the announcement earlier in the show, in case you missed it. Skeet Reese at a different time. It's going to be 11 a.m. Central Time on January 30th, which is a Tuesday. And then also, folks, if you listen to us on iTunes, please make a review.
Yeah.
Please
click on the number of stars and leave a review, because that helps us out big
really
time.
Important. All right, here's the other thing too. I'm starting to put some things out on YouTube. We haven't been the real YouTube, and it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of another avenue that if people happen to search bass fishing, maybe they don't know about BTL. So I'm starting to put some stuff out on YouTube very slowly. I think we just launched it a couple of weeks ago, Bass Talk Live. So everything's still on the website for the most
and
part.
on
so,
iTunes.
Yeah, so just, continue. We're going to continue giving you the sources. The other thing is we are very, very close at finalizing our 6 matches, our 6 one-on-one live matches, and the bonus match of the Swindle versus James Watson, tackle versus tackle. So right now, folks, we're going to have 7 one-on-one lives in 2018, and the promos are getting ready to come out for our very first one in 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, the day after the Elite Series wraps up on Lake Martin, they will be going to Logan Martin. It
Different
will be,
lake.
Wesley Strader versus Gerald Swindle, 2.5-hour matches live, one-on-one on Bass Zone, split screen. You can watch them both live at the same time. Mark will be in studio running the show. I'll be out there behind one of the cameras with a back brace.
Who do you want
on.
to be with?
I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it. Maybe Dave and I will flip coins to see who we get to go with.
Yeah.
I'm cool with either one. I've been in the boat with Swindle before, but I wouldn't mind being in the boat with Wesley Strader. I mean, he's a character too.
It's going to be good. Very, very excited about it. All right, everybody be safe, stay warm. You people up north, man, I feel for you. All right, we're finally going to hit 60s here in Oklahoma, so try and stay warm. If you can't, get out, venture out, do like the Grasshopper's going to do a little winter time
If I'm awake
fishing.
tomorrow, I'll go fishing.
And enjoy what you can. Everybody be safe. We will talk to you on Tuesday.